Hello, this is Berhane Selassie, also known as the Orthodox Catholic. This is one of my next entries on my blog is about the veneration of the saints in Jewish tradition. Now, this is adapted from my webpage, freewebs.com/orthodoxcatholic/saints.html. This is found on my blog, thisholysword.blogspot, also known as Golden Sword Apologetics. So I've collected a couple of places in Jewish tradition where they practice the veneration of saints, which includes asking them to intercede for them. And these people are physically dead, but they're considered righteous or tzaddik, or the tzaddikim. So they're considered righteous. They bow down to them, bow down at their graves, and ask something for them, ask for intercession of some sort. But anyway, let's go through this. All these are going to be from the Babylonian Talmud, with the exception of the last one, which will be from the Zohar. Most of these are found in Seder Mo'ed. So I have the translations, and I also have the associated Aramaic and Hebrew. It's mostly Aramaic, and the translation is going to be mostly from Socino. But anyway, here we go. First one we have is from Sotah 34b, which is Seder Mo'ed. And here's what it says: And they went up by the south, and he came unto Hebron. It should have read, and they came. So he's making a point. It says he came instead of they came. Anyway, it says Raba said, it teaches that Caleb held aloof from the plan of the spies and went and prostrated himself upon the graves of the patriarchs, saying, My fathers, pray on my behalf that I may be delivered from the plans of the spies. And then it goes on and talks about, as for Joshua, Moses already prayed on his behalf, as it is said, and goes on and on about that. Then it explains, this is the intention of what it was written, but my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him. So anyway, it has Caleb bowing down at the graves of the patriarchs, according to the Talmud. This is one of the explanations why it says he came. And here's the Aramaic, and this is the phrase for bowing down at the grave, and this is the phrase for the little, we would call it a prayer or a intercession that he's asking while at the grave of the patriarchs. And you can click on the link, and I'll take you to mechronmemra.org under Talmud entries in the Aramaic. Anyway, next is also from Seder Mo'ed, Tractate Tanit, also called as Tanis, sometimes called Tanith, depending on the Aramaic, or I'm sorry, Hebrew, or I guess it is Aramaic. Some people will say Tanit, Tanith. Tanis is, I guess, Ashkenazi. But anyway, it says, why did they go to the cemetery? With regard to this, there is a difference in opinion between Rabbi Levi Ben Chama and Rabbi Hanina. I think it's Hanina, actually. One says, to signify thereby, we are as the dead before thee. And the other says, in order that the dead should intercede for mercy on our behalf. And here's the associated Aramaic and the link to the aforementioned website. And okay, here's another example also from Seder Mo'ed, Tractate Tanit 23b. It says, Rav Mani was annoyed by the members of the household of the patriarch. He went and prostrated himself on the grave of his father and exclaimed, Father, Father, these people persecute me. And then it says, one says they were passing the grave. The knees of the horses became stiff and remained so until they undertook not to persecute him any longer. And here's the Aramaic. I think this is a PDF file you can download for that particular part of the Talmud, Ta'anit, actually. Then here's my final example from the Talmud, and I'm sure there's others, and there's others outside of the Talmud, but here's the last one from the Talmud. It says, forthwith, this is after a debate, Rav Joshua, however you want to say it, had with another person, and it says he was convinced of it, and it says that Rav Yashu went and prostrated himself upon the graves of Beit Shammai, about on the house of Shammai. That's a particular theological school in Judaism, started by one of the leaders of the Sanhedrin in the first century BC, who was named Shammai. Anyway, it says he said, and this is to the graves of those of the school of Shammai, I crave your pardon, bones of Beit Shammai. If your explained teachings are so excellent, how much more so the unexplained teachings? And this is found in Chagiga, or Chagiga 22b. Also, I'm pretty sure that's Seder Mo'ed also. And here's the Aramaic text. You can tell right here it has the reference to prostrating on the grave right here. It's the grave of Shammai. Again, right here, this is actually an abbreviation of Beit Shammai. They just put BS or Beit Shin. And you can go to the link. And this last one is from the Zohar. There's a link to the Zohar here. It's on Google Books. Anyway, it says Rab Chaviva said, Rab Chaviva, son of Surmakit, told me, I saw one of the rabbis whom Elijah used to frequent. In the morning his eyes were lovely, but in the evening they looked as if they were burnt by fire. I asked him, what is it? He told me that he has asked Elijah, show me the departed rabbis as they ascend to the heavenly academy. Elijah replied, I should say, you can gaze at all of them except for the carriage of Rabbi Chia, at which you cannot gaze. What is their sign? How can I distinguish between them? All are accompanied by angels as they ascend and descend, except for Rabbi Chia's carriage, which ascends and descends on its own. Unable to restrain himself, I gazed at it. 2 sparks of fire shot forth and struck that man, blinding him. The next day I went and prostrated myself upon his grave, crying, your Mishnah is my Mishnah, and I was healed. And you can go to the Sefer Zohar, the Book of Radiance, whatever you want to call it, and there's a link on Google Books to this particular entry, if it's still there. Sometimes Google takes stuff down for whatever reason. But anyway, those are some of my examples from the Talmud, from my website. Now, the Babylonian Talmud, which is what I'm quoting from, was written somewhere in the first millennium. So it was probably, between year 300 and, I want to say, 600. One scholar on this issue, one book, says that this particular practice of asking for the saints to intercede for them, that is going to their graves and asking of them, occurred somewhere in the Moraic period, which would be between 200 and 400. However, it probably precedes this. Just as, for instance, even Christians, we have similar customs of asking the saints to pray for us, going to their graves and such. And we have actually earlier sources in the 2nd century and stuff like that. But anyway, this is the Jewish perspective on tzaddik. It's actually a divisive issue in Judaism, also as it is in Islam, just as it is in Christianity. Some Jews say it's a sin, it's idolatry, it's terrible, don't do it. Others say it's fine, such as the people at Chabad. But anyway, it is a Jewish practice, and it is found in ancient Jewish documents, like I mentioned, the Talmud. And the Talmud, actually, as I showed before, with reference to Caleb, claims it actually occurred in ancient biblical Judaism during the times of Joshua, or actually after Joshua. But anyway, the Jews typically, when referring to this practice, don't use the word pray, but they prefer the word ask or chat. But anyway, there's other books on this topic, and here's a link to the Chabad on it. Anyway, this is Brahim Selassie. God bless.